I'll level up the hat. I will take it off in a minute, probably. It's a bit cold though. Arms by your sides, feet apart, level. Not one further forwards than the other, not one out or in. lively up yourself. That's from Robert Nesta Marley. So you could move around, like bounce the heels or wiggle the toes. Basically, we're coming online. So lively up yourself means bring yourself into aliveness here and now. Raise the arms up if you're ready, or when you're ready. Lovely. Roots of the neck soft, press your feet, raise your fingers, inhale, stretch up, exhale, bend down. Ankles, knees, and hips are bent, and a little movement. Utkatta. Utkatta means to squat. So some people are comfortable to take it to a low squat. Some people prefer to stay upright. We used to always call this pose fierce pose, but I hear from another gym, a far superior Sanskritist to myself, Jim Mallinson. The Utkatta doesn't mean fierce, but just means to squat. So I take his advice on that. Stand up, big circle, hands to heart, breathe through your nose. Same pose again with the feet closer. So perhaps they can be together. They might not be able to be, that's fine. But they should be level, but they're as close as they can be comfortably given the natural anatomy of the body. Raise the arms. Bend ankles, knees, and hips. And allow up, down, left, right movements of the torso, bending, extending movements of the arms, movements of the fingers and wrists, all for one purpose. It's not random. We're not randomly moving. We're moving to tune out of whatever we've just been doing. For me, I've been making a Facebook event for my retreat to Gales, which is nearly full, but just thought I'd do it anyway. So whatever you've been doing, tuning in to this is tuning out of that. So movement is facilitating exactly that, coming into this rich dance here and now. Stand up when you're ready. Big circle, hands to heart, deep breaths, plural. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Already the heart's going a little bit, so your breath will be deeper. Raise up, raise up the left heel, and then raise up the leg. Hold the leg, pull it up gently. That's it, calmly if you want. Breathe through your nose. There's a lot we could say about the pose. A lot of it is just enough to balance, isn't it? To experience the aliveness that we call balance. We could talk about the gluteal crease on the standing leg deepening, the inner groin on the same leg lifting or opening, front groin similarly opening, all relating to each other. Okay, super duper. Foot down, shake out, breathe out, and let things flow. Just let things flow. So body, brain, breath. Actually, Vajrasati Yoga has distilled a very broad overview of yoga practices to come up with fairly simple approaches. So honoring the tradition, we can simply talk about flow, body, brain, breath, universe. That's a distilling of various different approaches to practice, but in a way that we can really experience here and now. We don't need to learn various practices or texts necessarily, but there it is in that. Raise up your other leg when you're ready and take hold and breathe through your nose if you can. Jaw soft, eyes soft, brain soft. Wobbly fun, I call it. So the pose might wobble here and there. That's part of the fun. Surfing is fun. Skiing is fun. Wobbling is fun. That's my conclusion. And maybe other events that involve some sort of instability, skateboarding, roller skating, on and on like that. Okay, bring the leg down. Good job. Shake out, shake out, shake out, shake out. And in, you know, any way that you want. Sometimes it's a slow, sassy samba, and sometimes it's something more, you know, like a dynamic Zumba kind of shakeout. Okay, when you're ready, go back to the first leg, reach for the big toe with your index finger, middle finger, and thumb. The other hand can be on the hip. Pull your leg up and out. And breathe through the nose. Be calm, breath centered, jaw soft, gluteal crease deep, inner groin open, front groin spacious, back of the thigh deep, front of the thigh up, outer thigh stable. Return back to the center. Foot down, deep breath. Breaths, I should say, and movements. So the instructions we hear in yoga shouldn't be taken like instructions, like turn the light off, turn the light on, but as investigations, as a sort of stepping stone into deeper investigation. Raise up the other heel when you're ready and take hold of the big toe if you can. I think you can. And hand on the hip. It's wobbly fun. Breathing through the nose. This is Padangusthasana, a version of. And then, if ready, up and out. With the leg, some people like to counter with the other arm, like that. Okay, back to center. Foot down. Just step straight out. That's good. Good job. Good job. Breathe through your nose. Back toes in, left toes in. Right foot and leg out, turning on the ball of the foot, finishing off the turn on the heel. Take your hands like the hands of a bear. Most bears are sensibly hibernating right now. If you're watching this right now, which I know you are, but some people watch these in the future on YouTube. It's better to do it right now, though, if you can. Future is nice too, but this is best. Inhale, exhale. Take your bare hands down to wherever they come to, right? Wherever they come to. So it might be fingertips, might be elbows. Breath, 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 and play. So we talk about, yoga tradition, its philosophy, its approach. And we've already talked about one way to summarize that. And of course, not all traditions agree, but mostly with this paradigm of flow or vahi. We can say without any doubt, really, that flow is the same experience as is described with other words like non-attachment. Some traditions use the word non-attachment. It means flow, not caught up in anything in particular. And we know yoga means union, so it's happening on all levels. Okay, come on up. Nice and slow. Don't rush it. Hands on the left. It's a big stretch, wasn't it? Deep breaths. Shoulders broad, eyes loving. So, a big part of yoga is compassion and love. You can find like the love that Arjuna has for Krishna. That's a deep love. Or Hanuman has for Rama. Or the love that's mentioned in the Metta Sutta of Buddhism, and on and on. Or the love that's expressed in Jainism through the generosity and kindness towards nature and animals of all kinds. Back toes in, front foot and leg out. So we know love is part of flow and love, a part of yoga. We know that. Heel to arch. Take your hands like a bear. Inhale. Exhale. Down you go. Breathe into it. Soft mind, soft body. Or I could say that in a longer way and say soft mind equals soft body. Deep breath, soft brain, soft eyes, playful. And the purpose of the play is to reunite ourselves with the field as a whole. The field, kshram in Sanskrit. Prakriti is another way of talking about the field. The field is described as one.
by the texts, Sāṅkhya, Karikara, etc., Patañjali. The field is one. That is to say, every phenomena is part of every phenomena. There's nothing arises independently. Still breathing freely through your nose. Play, play, play. You can, movements might happen spontaneously as part of our service, seva, to flow. Vivekananda was very keen on this principle of service. Come on up, nice and easy. I'm quite a big fan, I have to say, of Vivekananda, who in many ways revolutionized and reinvented, but with deep respect for the tradition. Back toes in, front foot and leg out. This is in the late 1800s. Vivekananda was operating. Heel to arch of the foot, front foot to back foot. Inhale. Exhale, feel love radiating through the body and expansion. And don't those two things always go together? Love and expansion. Feel love. What happens? You open, you relax, you receive, you're generous. Raise the top arm if you want. That's optional. I quite like wiggling the fingers. The three main nerves that come from the brachial plexus down to the fingers can be felt to move within their sheaths. Nerves themselves are within fascial sheaths, and their movement hydrates them. They're physical, aren't they, nerves? So it's beneficial. Stretching the arm up and over, breathing through the nose, maybe looking up under the armpit optionally. Playful. Okay, arm down, push. Inhale, come up. Sorry about the flickering candle. I hope it's not flickering too much to disturb your enjoyment. I'll do something about it in a second. Back toes in, front foot and leg out, breathing through your nose. Deeply. Stretch, lift, bend, and play, and fall in love, and dance. Elbow down, straight up and over for those who want to bring the arm up and over. So Shiva is often represented as a dancer, the Nataraja, the lord of the dance. Prakriti is often represented, that is, Prakriti is cognate with the English word procreate. So everything that is like springing forth, prakrata, is like to make forth. So it's like, we could say creation, I suppose, but we can call it co-creation, infinite co-creation. And it's one field without beginning or end in the tradition. And it's dancing, and it's non-personal. The texts tell us it is sentient, but it's non-personal. It doesn't represent the sort of fundamental essence. Okay, arm down, palm down, push, inhale, come up. Feet face forwards, hands to the hips. We're going to do a little twist again, like we did last summer. Turn your toes in towards each other a little bit and spread the little toe side of your feet repeatedly. So 2023 is my 33rd yoga birthday of official modern postural yoga. Obviously, like probably the rest of you, I was interested before in various sort of things that you could say are related in some way. But anyway, I've been doing that for 33 years, extending my toes. And I'm doing it now still. And maybe you are too, right? Because repetition, abhyasa, with a spacious mind is how the constant cycles of reactivity come to stillness. Yogaschitta vritti nirodha. Lift up from the inner groins on an inhale. Exhale, come forwards and down, and here's the twist. One hand on the floor. Oh, I should have said, but I didn't. But you can use the block for your hand if you want. The other hand on your sacrum. That's the bony plate between the buttock flesh, just above the tail, below the waist. Activating the long head of the tricep is a beautiful tuning in sort of operation. So the long head of the tricep is a muscle with three heads. The long head inserts onto the shoulder blade. onto the infraglenoid tubercle of the shoulder blade to be exact, just underneath where your arm inserts into the shoulder blade. So bend your elbow and then re-straighten it and feel a pull down towards the elbow and beyond of energy, and your body will turn. Remember to be calm, cool, calm, collected. Okay, super duper. Swap hands and turn. Keep very happy, keep happy. You might think, well, you might wonder, is that strictly speaking, a necessary thing, or is that just a nice thing you can add? Well, the mind is the body and the body is the mind. So yeah, it's necessary to keep happy. And that means not putting excessive pressure on yourself, not, putting the pressure on to grip, grasp, and grab, and not putting the pressure on to worry too much about anything that's arising in consciousness. Just to breathe, to balance and rebalance multiple times. Easy face, easy brain, everything easy. Pressing, turning, pressing, turning, pressing, turning. Well done. Back you go to the middle, Madhya. And then let's come up real calm and not too fast, pressing down with the fingers, pulling down from the sitting bones and walking the feet back towards each other. Have a little shimmy if you want, wiggle if you wanna. And then let's ascertain where the hip joints are. So we push the pelvis, I think you'll agree, fairly camply in this rather splendid costume. I'm hardly like super stylish version of yoga, but it is what it is. When you push your pelvis to one side, the bony area that sticks out furthest pretty much corresponds to the greater trochanter of the femur. Find it on both sides. Great. Having found it on both sides, you can feel that it's lower down than your hips. If you put your hands on your hips and then you feel the greater trochanter, it's lower. Here's my hands on my hips. Here's my hands on my greater trochanter. Hips, greater trochanter. Step your feet apart, keeping the hands on the greater trochanter, what I call the hip joint area, because it roughly corresponds. Obviously, the hip joint is internal, but it's about as close as we can feel into that joint. And then with the hands still on the hip joints, you can feel there's articulation between the pelvis and the thighs at that area. So a little shimmying sometimes helps tune us in. Then raise up from where your hands were on the hip joints with light tone in the tummy. Great. Doesn't matter which way you turn, but turn back toes in, front foot and leg out. And once you turn the whole body one way or the other, walk your front foot further across the width of the mat to make your stride wider. Up to, but not beyond, hip width. Lift the back heel up and turn it out, and then bring it down again. And you might repeat those actions until it feels that you've squared up. Light, reiterative tone on the tummy, breath coming and going, softness, mental softness, respiratory softness, softness in the lower back. Inhale, lift from the inner groin of the back leg as you raise up. Inhale. Exhale, bend your front knee. And keep playing into it. I find it super helpful to play with the weight distribution on the feet. So for example, you might find it useful to lift the back heel, even to lift the little toe side on the back foot at the same time as lifting the heel. In fact, I sometimes lift every part of my back foot except the ball of the foot on the big toe side. And then that gives me a lot more freedom to turn the tissues around because everything's connected to the foot. So I can turn the tissues at the groin more freely, calmly, with repetition, with persistent repetition. And then eventually the heel might come down and then you might repeat. So this is Virabhadrasana, Virabhadra, strong warrior, Virabhadra. Inhale, great job. Back to the front, hands on the hips, deep breaths. It's really important and really valuable to appreciate at least 5 or 6 selfless breaths, breaths that generate themselves. They're not generated from samskaras, like thought patterns, ideas, reactions, but simply in response to the flow that's required in the present. Raising the arms from the hip joints takes concentration and honesty, satya, and dharana. So we have elements of Patanjali Yoga, satya, truthfulness, dharana, concentration. Back toes in, front foot and leg out, whole body turns. You know the thing now. Walk the front foot further across the width of the mat. Lift the back heel, turn it out. Then bring it down again. Breathe through your nose and make sure everything flows. Breath, brain, body, universe. Focus on calmness and release in the back inner groin. And we're going to stretch that back inner groin up on the inhalation. So inhale, stretch up. Exhale, bend the front knee. Play with it with love. With love. It's a repetition. And remember, you might find, as I find, it very useful to lift and land the back heel and to use moments when it's lifted to tune the body in, to turn round, as it were, fiber by fiber. Fiber by fiber. Super lovely to really focus on stretching, re-stretching, and knowing that the mind expresses itself in the body helps us to really release bodily tensions. Inhale, come on up. Lovely. Big circle, hands to hips. Breathing through the nose, jaw soft, eyes soft, brain soft, throat soft. In fact, everything that can be soft is soft. Walk your feet towards each other and take a block to sit on. If you haven't got a block, you can have a book. The binding should be facing forwards. If you happen to be fortunate enough to have two blocks, put them short end to short end, like that, and sit on those. One's fine. I'm just saying if you've got two, then use two. Sometimes people want a little bit more height under the bum, and you can always use a towel neatly folded. Towels are very useful, we know, from the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, but for yoga, I've always found, you know, I've been around the world quite a lot in a great many countries. I'm very, very lucky. And I've used a towel for yoga a lot of the time. Very useful, very useful. You can roll them, you can sit on them, you can place them like a block. So anyway, we've got the, if you're on two blocks, obviously make sure you're in the middle. Don't sit too far back on the blocks, because otherwise it won't serve to tilt the pelvis forwards if your bum is kind of beginning to come off the blocks. That's not helpful. Drawing the buttock flesh out and back if you haven't already. Hands by your hips. So drag them back and stretch your chest. Play to tune out of the modality of duality, you know, right and wrong, good and bad, can and can't. Tune out of that. Into something much more fluid. Something much more fluid. So moving left, moving right, moving forwards, moving backwards. Eyes soft, brain soft. So we're looking for soft lift, and we're looking to find it through ranging around, which is our first, and often it's the only station we need. On top of that station, for those who want, on top of that station, you can add others, like meditatively broadening the feet. Meditatively broadening the feet, meditatively. That is to say, in a way that doesn't cause the breath to become shallow. It's meditative. And it's honest as well. It's not sort of imposed onto the body. It's conversation. Okay, release out of Dandasana. There's lots of other stations, but we'll release out. And we're going to bend the leg. If you've got the screen set up like I have to the side of you, you might want to bend the leg closest to the screen. Otherwise, either leg will be fine. The straight leg hops out a tiny bit, a centimetre, maybe a centimetre and a half, but not much more than that. Fingers around your shin, rather. You only got one. Well, you've got two, but you're only using one. Press down, lift up. Look for space, look for lift, look for height, look for ease. Breathe through the nose if you can. I'm moving. I find that avoids polarization, gripping, grasping, grabbing. If I move, it's a way of sort of not getting caught up in a sort of dualistic paradigm of success or failure, that kind of thing. Inhale, lift, exhale, turn, so bring the arm that's furthest, the same arm as the straight leg, turn it, hook it round the bent leg, knee, and then repetition and calmness. So I find if I move, say, the leg in and out, combining that with the body backwards and forwards, I can really work the intestinal tissue round. I can work other organs gently round. I can work the thoracolumbar fascia, particularly the lumbar part of that. And so on, fibers of the latissimus dorsi. There's a lot to work round holistically. So one could play this out, I think, for quite a while. You might notice that I've deliberately gone for skin against skin. I rolled my sleeve right up so I could get skin against skin for this Marichasana number 3. In the text, the Dhammapada, the Buddha says a jug fills drip by drip or drop by drop. There's a good version of the Dhammapada on Audible. If you're an Audible listener, I recommend the Dhammapada to you. It's beautiful. Might bring up some questions. I'm happy to chat about those if you ever want to. Okay, nice and easy, nice and slow. Release out of that station. Give your legs a little rub, maybe the lower back, maybe the face, just energy bath stuff. And I'm going to move my blocks, but you don't have to unless you want to. It's not necessary. It's only necessary for me so I can still see you. I'm moving mine to the other end so I can do my other leg and still turn to face you. I guess you might want to still face me, so you could move your blocks if you wanted to, if it was necessary, but it's not essential at all. Similarly, we're going to just bend back one leg, obviously the other leg, the one we did before, hop out the straight leg, maybe 1.5 centimeters. Play with the movement to communicate to our nervous system the way we want to work, which is holistically. Yogis want to work holistically. That's really fundamental to the practice. It's the most fundamental thing. Yogis want to be holistic. Think about the word, it means union. So we want to see for ourselves, experience directly the union of attitude with the way the body is. Certain attitudes will have an immediate positive or restrictive effect on the body. And obviously we want a non-restrictive effect on the body. So anyway, moving until you feel there's limbaness and attitude has shifted into a sort of limba attitude as well. Then when ready, the opposite leg, so it's the same arm as the straight leg, comes up, hooks over, and then play. Now you can have your hand cupped on the floor behind you and or intermittently bring that back hand forwards to help work around. A jug fills drip by drip or drop by drop, it says in some translations. And what the Buddha is talking about is merit and demerit specifically, but actually the principle is a very simple one. You get yourself where you are through lots of little things. And that includes posture. If you're working with your posture, it teaches us that philosophy for everything. So if you're someone who wants to learn the guitar and you think, gosh, it's impossible, my fingers just won't make the shape. If you know the jug fills drop by drop, you know, just make a little effort today, a little effort tomorrow, and you'd be amazed how much progress you make in anything you want. And that includes negative things too. So you have to be mindful. One negative thought, one unkind thought today, and then another one tomorrow. Before you know it, you know, you're like Mr. and Mrs. Twit from the Roald Dahl book. I know that's not the case for you. You're lovely people from the very core of your being. Keep turning, keep moving, keep drop by dropping the belly and the organs round. Lots more we could say about Madhyasana number 3, but the essence is there. We're going to release slow and easy. And we're going to slow and easy dismount and lay down on our backs. I might crank up the lighting a little bit just so you can see clearly. I guess it's okay. But so you're laying on your back. You can use the head support that we had underneath the bum, and that can go underneath the head. Hopefully that lighting's a little better for you. And breaths, I'm sure you're taking them already. While I was sorting out the lighting, it was inevitable that we would be enjoying deeper breaths. And of course, that's such a big and important and central part of yoga, to enjoy deeper breaths. Flex your hips and let the lower back just kiss the floor. Like a kiss. I think everything's like this, but a kiss is a moment where, you know, if you kiss someone you really like, or they kiss you on the cheek, for example, there's a moment when you disappear into the infinite. I don't know why, but earlier in meditation, I had this sort of, this line come up. Oh yeah, okay, I remember now. We always had Paris. We will always have Paris. You know, it's like a line from a film where, you know, lovers who can't be together for whatever reason still had their, you know, magical couple of days in Paris or whatever it was, you see. And I was thinking about that, and I was thinking, well, what is that? You know, we'll always have that. It's a moment of disappearing and reappearing in the field. Of course, they don't say it in those old movies, I reappeared in the field, but it's like, we'll always have that. That's how precious it is to disappear. Reach through and hold your big toes. You got it. Let your head come back down and play. How the play manifests is not down to anything other than the breath. So it could be rolling around. It could be extension of the legs or not. The movements are there to promote layanam or laya, which is one of the 4 yogas that are mentioned in the early Hatha corpus, the early corpus of Hatha yoga texts, which mention 4 yogas. Laya yoga, dissolution yoga, Raja yoga, the yoga so-called royal yoga, Hatha yoga, the yoga of force, as it's sometimes described, and mantra yoga, the yoga of chanting, deity chants, and so on. Very interesting history that Hatha yoga has. Okay, slow and easy. Release your legs after that play. I think it's nice to do that for a while. Pop your hands under your head and take a deep breath. Don't forget another, and then another, and then another, and then another. So we're just saying yes to the vibrant moment, this vibrant moment. Flex your hips, let the lower back come very close to the floor and lift your head up. Really good, really good. Lower back close to the floor. And you can feel I'm sure you can feel your abdominals. Extend one leg diagonally upwards. So not directly upwards, not 90 degrees, but a little lower, and then pull it down and do the same with the other. Right, breathe through your nose. Keep the lower back intimate and the mind intimate. Do it again with the first leg. And then retract, and the same with the second. If you want, go a little lower for the third round. Maybe 45 degrees. Keep that lower back intimate with the floor. Twice on each leg on this lower, potentially lower round. Don't make the back uncomfortable, however. Potentially lower still, both legs together. You really got to keep the lower back intimate with the floor. Pull them back. Lift your head. Your hands can move. They don't have to be stuck to the back of the head. They could be on the crown. Elbows and knees towards each other. Could be knees apart or together. I'm a bit of a knees apart kind of guy. And then head back down. Take a deep breath. Take a few. And while you're taking them, why not roll over? How nice. I say, I'm rather enjoying wearing this hat. I suppose that guy from Jamiroquai got away with it, so why not me? Bend the leg that you're laying on, 90 degrees, 2 sets, 90 degrees between the thigh and the tummy, and 90 degrees between the calf and the thigh. Extend the inner groin area of the top leg in such a way, with such an attitude that the fibers become soft, they feel soft. And so repetition, we repeat lifting and extending and landing, lifting and extending and landing, but feeling directly for ourselves the correlation between mind and body. What we do in terms of our attitude with the mind happens also with the body. Eventually, we can draw the tummy in, push down, lift and turn, elbows, forearms, and wrists on the floor in advance of the shoulders. The elbows are in a little way in advance. And we'll breathe into that. Again, a lovely massage for the thoracolumbar fascia along the back. And movement will help to massage that in, like movement side to side, maybe some traction on the forearms to pull the chest forwards. Breath, of course. Take some deep ones. Get into it. Really get into it. Okay, love that. Top leg on top of the bottom leg. Just curl up. Don't rush. Come up real slow and calm. That's it. And obviously, we're going to do the same thing the other side. Bending the leg you're laying on. Breathing through nose, 90 degrees. And then extending this inner thigh tissue, making it soft and long and elastic. And remembering what happens to the mind is mirrored in the body, or can be mirrored in the body, usually is. So when we lift the leg, notice what attitudes are most conducive. You know, what sort of phrases are most conducive to a soft body. Usually they're kind phrases. Suck in the thumb, push down, lift, turn, elbows, forearms and wrists, all on the floor, breathing through your nose. Oh, sorry. Excuse me, I dropped the microphone. And again, repetition of movement that is absorbing. So Patanjali in Pada 2, number 18 of Pada 2, talks about how Prakriti, it describes Prakriti and that she's there for in the enjoyment and liberation of the Purusha. And this is an echo from a text called the Sāṅkhya Karika, which is a text on Sāṅkhya. And Patanjali is a very interesting text because he draws Sāṅkhya Yoga together with Buddhist practice and a little bit of Jainism as well. It's a very beautiful synchronistic text. So adjusting, readjusting, breathing, and getting into the sensations means getting into Prakriti, which means getting into the, often we feel just a bit of Prakriti. We feel like this particular thought or that particular physical sensation. But if you get into any particular thought or any particular physical sensation, we can open up to it in such a way that we can feel its inherent underpinning of interdependence. And when we do that, there's literally no chance of clinging. And the mind falls. Patan means to fall or fly into its true nature spontaneously, sahaja. Top leg on top of the bottom, and curl up when you're ready. Don't rush it. Onto hands and knees. It's Adho Mukha Svanasana. So toes tucked, first of all. Let's stretch the plantar fascia. Check that the hands are equidistant from the sides and the front of the mat. If you're happy with the alignment, lift up your bum. Push from front to back. Open the inner armpits up, which means to lengthen, to extend the inner armpits. Similarly, the outer. And it's not that we do one and then the other. We do both with the inner armpit taking, as it were, the lead in this sort of lengthening process. To me, it almost feels like the inner armpit has a sort of very slight crescent to it, which we want to stretch and elongate into a more of a elongated, straighter line. Huh? And similarly, with the outer armpit, is sort of extending, exploring. Sometimes you could even think of extending both ends of the inner or outer armpit. Well done, everyone. Come down nice and easy. And by down, of course, I mean down, all the way down to your tummy and up on your elbows, and catch a breath or two like that. Let's stretch the tummy forwards by using the forearms against the mat to create some traction. And if you move side to side, you'll be able to stretch one side and then stretch the other side and just, have yourself a good time. Really stretching out. I think it feels good. Really get into that abdominal aponeurosis. Aponeurosis is the name of a particular kind of connective tissue that one has on the tummy, the lower back, the palms of the hands, the soles of the feet. Stretch the legs back as well. Breathe easy. Stretch your arms back. Just make sure that your glutes, although they will be toned, are not squeezing together. So just, sometimes you can bring your hands, I'm bringing my own hands to my bum just to sort of instruct it. Raise the legs a little way, raise the chest. Breathe calmly, look for flow. Of course, it's very easy to think yoga is about the poses. And then, of course, if it's about the poses, more is how you do it better, right? More of the same thing, like more back arching, more forward bending, more twisting. If the pose is it, to be better at it, you do more of it. Of course, that's not it. The purpose is not the pose and never has been, but absorption. And absorption happens through flow because otherwise you're particularized. Okay, come down. One hand on top of the other, rest your head, huff and puff. Go on, take a deep one. That's it. That's it. And another when you're ready. Oh, yeah, take a few. Just let go. Just let go. This is Shraddha, trust. Tuck the toes under, stretch the legs back. Come up onto your elbows, forearms and wrists and stretch the tummy. Good job, lovely. Do it a few, that's it, like you are. Do it a few times. Really see if you can get a bit more going on that. So I hope you get that feeling like I get of like, it really feels good because we get a bit tight, don't we? Around the tum. I do anyway. Okay, stretching the legs back too. probably one at a time, occasionally both together, but we're going to take hold of one ankle or shin or foot, doesn't matter which. I mean, if you can hold the shins, go for those, but it's not always possible. So going for the ankles is fine, going for the feet is fine. And then we lift up if you want and breathe calmly. Look for integration, back of the body in towards the front of the body. It's a meditation still. And the front of the body up, the back of the body in towards the front of the body and the front of the body up. Yummy. Down you come. One hand on top of the other. Take deep breaths. I hope even if you didn't feel yummy, that my outcry of yummy would help you feel, something of joy in that pose. Don't worry, you're not going to do it again. If you're somebody who's really into it, you might think, God, I don't want to get addicted to it. I don't want to do it again. Don't worry, we're not going to. Stretch the legs back. Stretch them back. Stretch the chest forwards, exactly the same, but this time bring the legs close to each other. And do it multiple times. Legs back, tummy forwards, legs back, tummy forwards. We're turning the thighs to face down. We're bringing the legs closer, and we're stretching the inner groins. Hands by the mid ribs. Push and lift up. You can have your elbows bent, but you'll find you get more height if you suck your tummy in. Suck your tummy in and feel a lift of one bone off the other without raising the shoulders up. Lift one bone off the one beneath it, and then the one above that off that one, and so on. By sucking the tummy in, visualizing and feeling the ribs lifting, and pressing through the back of the arms to the heels of the hands. And then there's also that sort of magic factor of listening, responding. So light tone in the tummy, breathe through your nose, look for spinal space, depth. Oh, so good. Down you come. Rest your head and take deep breaths. Let's say 5. Let's say 5. 5 or 6 or 7 deep breaths. Roll over when you're ready, when you can, onto your back. I'll do a quick time check because I'm enjoying myself, and I worry sometimes that I just go on all night with it. Oh, good. We're still in the time factor. That's good. So we're laying on our back. Now, actually, I said to lay on your back, but you may want to roll over because I just want to make a bit of a demonstration here. Now, what I'm going to demonstrate can be pretty tricky, but there are stations. So you can get off at, station 1 or station 2 or station 3. Excuse me. It can be helpful to have brick blocks for your hands. That's something that can be helpful. And I'm even going to take my hat off for this. Yeah. So let me offer you the stations. I just might do a bit of jumper tucking in because anything could happen to the microphone otherwise. So station number 1 is simply hands on the floor, right? Don't do it, just watch. Hands on the floor, fingers underneath the shoulders. Station number 2, make sure your feet are close to your bum. So all you got is hands on the floor, fingers under the shoulders, feet close to the bum. Then the tummy draws in and up. I'll do it again. In and up. One more time. In and up. And you lift up. Now, when you lift up, drag so you come to the top of your shoulders. I'll do it again. Pelvis goes up, drag onto the top of your shoulders. So what do I mean by drag? As you come up, you just press into your hands and reposition yourself more to the top of your shoulders rather than the shoulder blades. Now, I think it's useful to raise the heels up, but that depends how long your shins are partly. And then drop and find the pelvic floor a few times. Drop and find. And so for many of us, this is the station where we're going to just stay, just sort of Setu Bandhasana. But we might, and this is a very interesting stage, come up onto the crown of the head. And at this station, when you're on the crown of the head, we roll towards the back of the head as we barrel the chest open. So you roll towards the back of the head like this, and the chest barrels open. And this preparation is what makes all the difference for when you finally or possibly lift up. You can see my heels are still up, tummy's pulled forward, but you can, if you want, if you can keep the pull over strong, the pull over towards the chest, then you can slowly bring the heels down, but don't lose that pulling action. Still, it's just, I'm just enjoying myself now. So I'll go through the stations, and don't forget, you don't have to do that full, I won't even use the word full, but that sort of station at the end there. Hands underneath the shoulders. This is Urdhva Dhanurasana, feet close to the bum. Breathe through your nose. Don't forget, you can use bricks underneath the heels of the hand. Tummy in and up. That keeps the lower back long. Lift your bum, right? Move left, right, forwards, backwards. Then see if you can scoot yourself to the top of your shoulders. And this is the station where I think probably most of us will get most benefit, moving left, moving right, moving up, moving down, keeping length in the lower back. There's the option to come onto the crown of the head with the view to roll towards the back of the head and barrel the chest open between the arms. And once the chest is really open, then the lifting up might possibly happen. So any station you're in, if you do lift up and you've got the heels up, you keep the barreled over chest and you bring the heels down without losing that. It's quite an art not to lose that. Okay, wherever you're at, come down in stages, rest your hands on your ribs, catch 3 deep breaths that I'd like to think I could hear, I can't hear. So at least we can feel them across the ether. We are all interdependent, absolutely, completely. We can feel that, we can feel that. Stretch your arms out to the sides of you, elbows a little higher than the shoulders. Young yoga teachers, they call it cactus arms, I've heard. Well, I'm calling them young yoga teachers. I notice yoga teachers who I thought of as young yoga teachers about 15 years ago saying cactus arms. And I thought, oh, the young ones are doing that. But I suppose those young yoga teachers aren't young anymore. They're probably saying something new. Lift up your feet. So elbows bent to something more than 90 degrees, not less than, between the bicep and forearm. Most people are going to find it useful to flex, lift the bum, and move it the opposite way to the way they're going to bring the legs. But if you don't find that comfortable, you don't have to do the bum moving bit. You can just bring the legs down. But I personally find it very useful. Hovering the legs above the floor or landing them, up to you. But breathe the back arm back down. Breathe the back arm back down. Coming up on the inhale, nice and slow, slow. Realign. Let's hear some deep breaths. Let's have some deep breaths. Let's breathe deep, all of us. Even some sighs, I expect. It's lovely to just let yourself sigh out, isn't it? Whatever's been going on, we get sticky, huh? And we don't want to be sticky. We want to dance freely. With stuff stuck to us, it makes us heavy. So when we sigh, we release that and we become light again. Light. Let's flex up. Let's do the other side. Fully flexed, lift and shift. And then knees the other way. Stacking one knee above the other, hovering or landing. Sucking in the tummy. And using long exhales to let the arm come down. Tummy sucked in, chest lifted. Breathing through the nose. Breathing through the nose. This is Jatara Parvatasana. Okay, good job, everyone. Roll back to center. Scoot those buttocks slowly. You take it slow. Under, you might want to lift the bum up. Slow. We're going to come into Shavasana, so make sure you've got lots of space for your arms. And you stretch your legs out when you're ready, not too wide with the legs. Shoulder blades tucked. You might want to put a blanket on or a little beanie hat. And then, yes, the pose is all about, I agree. Yes, I agree. So do make sure you're warm. Yes, I agree. Shoulder blades scooted under the body. Feel the skin saying, yes, I agree. Feel the muscles saying, yes, I agree. Feel the bones. They agree to be part of what they're already part of, to not hold themselves separate to the field. To not try to build a wall, a mental construct of a kalpa that says this is mine and everything else is everything else. But to rest into the interdependent reality of everything, every thought, by opening up to the vibrant sensations that we can feel everywhere, in thoughts, in breath, in the skin, in the organs, in the deep body, in the blood, in the nerves. And when we know as a direct experience, pratyaksha, direct experience, the field of interdependence, there's only compassion, there's only wisdom, and there's no clinging. The mind becomes open, fully available with no bias, no prejudice, no prejudgment, spacious and ready. The ammunition is taken out of the gun. The arrows are dropped from the bow. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Because we're at home, we can lay as long as we want. But if you need to keep the class to an hour, then that hour is now. We've come to the end of that hour. So if you need it to be an hour, then time to feel into the body like it's something new. But now we've seen interdependence. We can learn to trust it even as we come out of the pose, whether it be now or in 5 minutes or 10 minutes if you've got longer. After stretching, we'll bend the legs. After bending, we scoot the buttocks. After scooting, we take a releasing deep breath. Maybe 2, 3, 4. Then rolling over, to lay on your left side. If you're doing this, it could be in 5 minutes, doesn't have to be now. And then after a few breaths are taken on that side, rolling again to lay on your other side, similarly comfortably. Knees drawn up, tummy really soft. I think it's nice to have that super soft feeling in the tummy. When you feel ready, again, it could be in 5 minutes or something, or 10 minutes, or 15, or it could be now. But when you feel ready, coming up nice and easy from the side. May the merit gained in our acting thus go to the alleviation of the suffering of all beings. Om. Thank you, beautiful, beautiful people.